4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello. How's it going? Everybody have a good Thanksgiving? I'm glad I'm no longer driving. So that's good. Although, I guess riding shoddy while the brother drives. Close enough. Somewhat grueling to be the passenger the entire time. Who knows? Hope everybody's having a good day. Happy December. Can you believe it's December? Okay, I'll be nice. Yes, I changed my hair a little bit. Bushy. Tiny, tiny. Cocoa. I was not planning on keeping it this way. Uh, I have a Christmas party coming up for work on Friday, and I got this far tonight, and I liked it. However, I was planning on doing a Christmas themed color hair color situation. Um, I decided, you know what? Tonight I'm just gonna do this, and for the party, I might keep it this way. But I'm gonna let you guys decide, or I'm gonna take your opinion. Just put a poll on Twitter, starting poll now. You guys let me know. The few of you that are here, and I'll be here. I decided to have fun with it, like I tend to do these things. Um, yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna shock and awe the audience tonight and just keep it like this. There's like a spot you can't really tell on camera, which is nice. It's still slightly green, but it's really hard to tell. I can tell because that's what I do. I look at the tiny little minutia details of, you know, Uh, yeah, so, uh, I decided that I'm either going to do this for the party or tomorrow I will finish dyeing, depending on the consensus. I will be wearing a red dress. Not that you guys care about coordination of things, but it could look nice with the white or with my Christmas themed dye. Uh, so yeah, you guys let me know. And if you have Twitter, you can go in there as well, especially since I didn't give you the dress color. Yeah, so either way, I'll do the dye tomorrow or I'll do it on the weekend. But Friday is when my mic's being done again. Hello, can you hear me? Is it still being stupid if I bring it up here? I'm not doing ASMR though. I guess I could like give it a little more stuff. Give some stuff that I was moving around. Okay. Yeah, I'd let you guys post on Twitter. Okay, it did post on Twitter. Sweet. My phone was being retarded. All right, let me say hi to y'all. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Glad you're here. Goddess, hello. Yes. Yay. What's up, JB? If you're still here, I do see that that came in rather early. Glad you're here, or if you come back later, or if you were here as you were here earlier. I appreciate you, as always. Dom, hello. Is that your favorite phrase, Dom? Is it kind of, you know what? I'm not going to say a phrase. The previous atrocity that we had to go through. But yes. I saw that you were talking about the weather at one point. It doesn't annoy me that way. What did you say? And I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah. It doesn't annoy me. Uh, but we always speak in Fahrenheit. Goddess just has to get used to it. I know the rest of the world is silly and on the wrong metric system. Measurement system, I guess. I'm so used to saying that. Whatever. You know what I mean. Yes. Well, hello, my friend. Please stop a kiss. Aw, that's cute. I ship it. Hey, Sam, whenever you can get to this, welcome. I'm Clinton. Hello. How's it going? My God. Hi. She ran away. Have you Play Store? I went racist. Easy decision for you. Know how I should interpret that. Is my mic doing? Did it adjust itself? Play with the connections. Okay. I hear something. So bear with me as I try to find. Oh, you know what? It's my Pandora. Yeah. Found it. Haha. I had to restart my phone. Computer. Had to restart the computer. And so sometimes what happens is like my open tabs or whatever, that start playing. Oh, I'm being retarded. There we go. And my Pandora was playing the whole time, apparently, I guess. I can take this out. That is fixed. Yay. Ignore the Twitter poll. It's not scientific and biased. The YouTube poll is accurate. Let me look at it. Ah, so I see what you voted. The Twitter poll has like a day. It'll be fine. All right. Oops. There we go. Back to us. Winky winky woo! Hello, my friend. You missed the explanation because I'm assuming this what of shock and awe is for the hair. I have a work party for Christmas. Holiday party. Meh. Did I? Oh, I see it. Gotcha. I missed one. Hello. Yeah, so I have a work party for Christmas, the holidays. And I was dyeing my hair. Well, I bleached it. You can kind of and I liked how it turned out. So I decided to keep it for the evening and see what you guys thought. Like, I have a Christmas theme planned for my dye, and it will happen eventually. It just depends on if I should wear it with my red dress or if I should keep the white hair with my red dress. I will be wearing white shoes and like a white shawl. There's a reason for that. But yeah, it's gonna be Christmas themed dye when I get to it, which will either be tomorrow or on the weekend after the party's over. So you guys let me know. There is a poll. And I did put a poll on Twitter as well. So decide as you will. Blonde is better than green, is it? That is true. I figured it was about the hair, Dom. I was just trying to figure out which one is an easy decision for you. It's weird. I figured it would like wash me out, which it does, but I don't mind it. Doesn't look awful. You told Dermy he was a furry. He was secretly flattered. Mudcrab, why did you tell him that? Because I have determined he has a furry fetish, and I don't know if you saw that stuff going around on the socials. Because I think you were traveling at the time when all of that was going down, so. When can we get the Raven Black? So the thing with black hair dyes, at least for the brand that I use, the brand that I normally use, Kel, is Manic Panic, and their black hair dye is god-awful. Like, it fades way too quickly. It's not as black as it should be. And when it fades to like a weird red color. Do not recommend. I could look at other options, and technically we did when my friend was living upstairs and we did her son's hair. I don't know. I could go that way eventually and do like my goth face. That's a good point, Legatus. I never went to the picture in the first place. I've changed it now. Nice. You shouldn't let other people influence everything. Well, hello, yikes, powerful Quill. How are you? Welcome. I will get to reading eventually, but I like to chit chat with you guys. I don't know if you've read this book or went back to the previous readings to catch up, but I'm glad you're here. Ah, your Team Christmas die. I see. Yes, you are. That's how I'm interpreting it. I can't believe you, Dom. I'm gonna go cry now. Well, thank you. Winky winky woo. I appreciate it. You were back for the furry stream. Okay. All right. Got it. Yeah. He's got a furry fetish. You know what? What was that movie? Was it just called Cruella? The movie? Like her backstory that really put me off of her just as a character, which makes me sad. She was truly just evil, and I didn't need a backstory for her, especially a sympathetic one, which was really not sympathetic. It was stupid. But let's get to it. Dom was lovely enough to go back and listen to 2 weeks ago. Since it has been 2 weeks, I apologize. I was out for the Thanksgiving holiday, and I didn't bring my stuff with me. I was with family. Didn't really have time to do it, so. Yes, Kel, there is a solo movie with Emma Stone. Emma Stone, I believe, is the one playing Cruella. And basically, she hates the Dalmatian dogs because a lady's Dalmatians killed her mom by pushing her over a cliff. In a nutshell. It's stupid. I hate it. Thank you, Dom. I did forget that, did I not? I appreciate you bringing it up. Now, if I can remember where to get it. Oh, yeah. Found it. What 2 weeks does. So, because Dom was kind enough to remind me, if anyone feels generous and would like to provide any donations, I do have a Stream Elements, and I appreciate anything that you send. No requirements whatsoever, but it is there if you would like. So, yes. Oh, Lord. You do you, Kel. You do you. But let's get to a recap, because I'm sure not everyone remembers. I'm going to do this real quick. Basically, we find the dragon who's supposed to be the horse for Tripitaka, the pilgrim, and Monkey and him have a bit of a fight. Monkey was supposed to introduce himself, but he didn't know that, so the dragon just thought he was just a guy coming after him. Whatever. The Bodhisattva gets involved, explains to him, you know, he's supposed to be your steed, as it were. And he proceeds to, here we go. She proceeds to assist them by finding the dragon, explaining the situation, turns the dragon into the white horse that he ate, because that's how they found him. They're at a stream. The dragon came out and ate the horse because he was waiting for the pilgrim. Yeah, so that was like chapter 15, basically. After everything gets settled. Oh, we also learned that Tripitaka is a bit of a bitch, but we kind of knew that, so whatever. We just get more and more information that the pilgrim is, I'm a pacifist. Yeah. But I need protection. So kill but don't kill. Bad. Good. Bad. They come across a shrine after a fisherman helps them across the river, and they get a saddle and a harness. The bridle. That's what it is. Yeah. So they can put it on the horse. That's basically chapter 15. And chapter 16 was Guanyin Hall, where they met a bunch of monks. And the oldest monk really liked the, was it a cuirass? No, the cassock. Which a cassock, I had to look it up. I meant to look it up last time on stream. A cassock is basically the robes. So there's that, if anyone was curious and had not looked it up themselves. So yeah, the monks' robes. And so they had, Tripitaka had one that was a treasure, essentially, and didn't want to show them because people could, as they are all human, become greedy. But Monkey was just like, oh, no, that won't happen. He's a monk. It's fine. Well, the monk got greedy. He just wanted it for the night, but then came up with a plan with the other monks to kill them so they could keep the cassock. And so they were going to burn the hall that they were staying in. But Monkey, like, woke up in the middle of it, realized what they were doing, took it too far, ended up freaking burning the rest of the shrine instead of the place that they were sleeping. Let's see. Oh yeah, he borrowed a fire-repelling cover from heaven and promised to bring it back, and that's what he did. So he covered the hall in Tripitaka so that wouldn't burn down. But he also decided to stir up a wind, and it caught the attention of a monster in the hills. And so the monster came, and he sees the cassock, and he becomes greedy, and he steals it. And in all of the chaos, it was a black bear demon. That's what it was. Thank you, Dom. The chaos the next day. They figure out what happened. And so Monkey is going to go fight the demon to get it back. In a nutshell, that's what happened. If I went too fast, I apologize. Go back and listen if you need it. Oh, Rob Manfred. Thank you. That was quick. Let me refresh because it is not showing. Oh, Dom. I didn't even pick up on it when I saw the name. I just thought it was someone lurking. Okay, I got $20 from Rob Manfred. He says, I'm sorry. I'm a little retarded and can't make good decisions. Please forgive me. Well, Rob Manfred, if you're still here, I thank you for the $20. I cannot make any forgiving gestures, though, because you are a little retarded. You're a lot retarded. And you should probably be gone earlier than 2029 because I need a new commissioner for baseball so it stops getting ruined. Some of you are probably confused who don't watch baseball or sports ball in general. But Rob Manfred wants to do, what is it called? The Golden Batter or something from the Savannah Bananas? Which is not serious baseball. It's like baseball in spirit, but they do funky things. Like everybody will be dancing on the field or whatever because they're playing music. fans, if they catch a foul ball, the batter is out. That type of stuff. That's not necessarily something I'd enjoy watching, and maybe if I was there and there was a vibe. But it's not serious baseball is the problem. Well, Rob Manfred thinks that that's a good idea. And one time in a game, you can choose, if there's a situation going on, to put your best batter up, your golden batter, as it were. So if you have Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout, Juan Soto, random point in the game where it might be a pivotal moment and you need your big bats, you can just, okay, it doesn't matter where he's at in the lineup. If he's not next, it's fine. We'll bring him up. No, Rob Manfred. That's not how it works. Please stop. Just sit down. No one likes you. Go away. So, thank you for the $20, Rob Manfred. He is rightfully so getting destroyed on the twit-twats. So, yeah. Yeah, they want to make the MLB a clown show. Even further than they already have. I mean, are you shocked? But now that the recap is done, let's get to it, shall we? If I click the right button. We are on chapter 17. Is that correct? Hi, Colson. It's not food time quite yet. Oh, fine. It's 3 minutes early. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. I also remembered I needed to get my tea and show you my mug. It's somewhat on theme tonight because Hollywood can't get out of their own way. It is my Harry Potter themed mug. And I'm just sitting back laughing because I have a love-hate relationship with Harry Potter. Yeah. So I find it slightly funny. What's happening with that? I mean, it sucks for the huge fans, that were excited to get a show that could properly represent the books, because movies have time limits, and it sucks when it's each book is so long. The first 3 books are not impossible to adapt into a movie, but once you get to the 4th book and through the 7th, it's practically impossible. They took out the entire World Cup for Quidditch in the 4th book. Really annoying. Really annoyed me. So I stopped watching after that one. I don't really like the books after the 4th one. I can tolerate the 5th one, but the 6th and 7th, not my jam. Don't like it. Don't like the author. I have my opinions about her and who wrote them, or I should say who didn't write them. So there's that. Yeah. And I loved Harry Potter as a kid. I loved it. So I understand that people are upset and why they would be upset. Because, I mean, if I were in the same boat, I would have been super excited because we can finally get some sort of proper adaptation. Yeah, and I feel like we would be definitely getting that version of Hermione. Fun fact, I'm not British. I did not recognize that name. So as a kid, she was Hermione to me and my brother. So I found it funny when I got older. I discovered, older in the movies. You're supposed to pronounce that Hermione? The fuck kind of name is that? So yeah, that was funny. Oh, you've been a Cubs fan. I understand. I, sir, am a Red Sox fan. So you're welcome for the recent World Series that you guys got because you did have John Lester and Theo. They got us. They got us some World Series. So you're welcome. And more were just kindred in the fact that it was so long. So long. They did not cancel the show. Potentially Snape is going to be race swapped. To which I am not a fan. The characters were described as they were in the book. If you wanted them a different way, you probably should have described them in that way. If it's not important and whatnot, then why are you doing it? Frustrating. Hi, Cliff. How's it going? Go back to the beginning of the stream, Cliff, if you were not here earlier, to see explanation of the hair. It's okay that you can't stay, though. You can go to my Twitter as well, if you'd like. There's a poll out there. Probably a few. But anyway, back to getting the show started. The reason that we're here, for me to read to you. I hope my mic is cooperating and will cooperate during the chapter. So we'll see. Chapter 17. Pilgrim's son greatly disturbs the Black Wind Mountain. Guan Shiyin brings to submission the bear monster. We now tell you that when Pilgrim's son somersaulted into the air, he so terrified the monks, the dudas, the young novices, and the attendants at the Guanyin Hall that every person bowed to the sky, saying, "O Father, so you are actually an incarnate deity who knows how to ride the fog and sail with the clouds. No wonder fire cannot harm you. That ignorant old carcass of ours, how despicable he was. He used all his intelligence only to bring disaster on his own head." Yes, during the recap, I failed to advise that the monk who wanted to take the cassock did perish in the fire. "Please rise, all of you," said Tripitaka. "There's no need for regret. Let's hope that he'll find the cassock and everything will be all right. But if not, I would fear for your lives, for that disciple of mine has a bad temper, and I'm afraid that none of you will escape him." When the monks heard this, they were all panic-stricken. They pleaded with heaven for the cassock to be found so that their lives would be preserved. But we shall say no more about them for the moment. We were telling you about the great sage sun. Having leapt up into the air, he gave one twist of his torso and arrived at once at the Black Wind Mountain. Stopping his cloud, he looked carefully and saw that it was indeed a magnificent mountain, especially in this time of spring. You see, many streams potently flowing, countless cliffs vying for beauty. The birds call, but no man is seen. Though flowers fall, the trees yet scented. The rain passes, the sky's one moist sheet of blue. The wind chimes, the pines rock like screens of jade. The mountain grass sprouts, the wild flowers bloom on hanging cliffs and high ranges.
The wisteria grows, the handsome trees bud on rugged peaks and flat plateaus. You don't even meet a recluse. Where can you find a woodsman? By the stream, the cranes drink in pairs. On the rocks, wild apes madly play. Augustly, the branches spread their luscious green, basking their splendor in bright mountain mist. Pilgrim was enjoying the scenery when suddenly he heard voices coming from beyond a lovely grass meadow. With light, stealthy steps, he inched forward and hid himself beneath a cliff to have a peep. He saw three monsters sitting on the ground, a swarthy fellow in the middle, a Taoist to the left, and a white-robed scholar to the right. They were in the midst of an animated conversation discussing how to establish the tripod and the oven, how to knead the cinnabar and refine the mercury, the topics of white snow and yellow sprout, and the esoteric doctrines of heterodox Taoism. As they were speaking, the swarthy fellow said, laughing, "The day after tomorrow will be the date of my mother's labor. Will you two gentlemen pay me a visit?" "Every year we celebrate the great king's birthday," said the white-robed scholar. "How could we think of not coming this year?" "Last night I came upon a treasure," said the swarthy fellow, "which may be called a brocaded robe of Buddha. It's a most attractive thing, and I think I'm going to use it to enhance my birthday. I plan to have a large banquet starting tomorrow and to invite all our Taoist friends of various mountains to celebrate this garment. We shall call the party the Festival of the Buddha Robe. How about that?" "Marvelous, marvelous," said the Taoist, laughing. "First, I'll come to the banquet tomorrow, and then I'll bring you good wishes on your birthday the day after." When Pilgrim heard them speaking about a robe of Buddha, he was certain that they were referring to his own treasure. Unable to suppress his anger, he leapt clear of his hiding place and raised high the golden-hooped rod with both hands, shouting, "You larcenous monsters! You stole my cassock! What festival of the Buddha robe do you think you are going to have? Give it back to me at once and don't try to run away." Wielding his rod, he struck at their heads. In panic, the swarthy fellow fled by riding the wind, and the Taoist escaped by mounting the clouds. The white-robed scholar, however, was killed by one stroke of the rod, and he turned out to be the spirit of a white-spotted snake when Pilgrim pulled his body over for closer examination. He picked up the corpse again and broke it into several pieces before proceeding deep into the mountain to look for the swarthy fellow. Passing pointed peaks and rugged ridges, he found himself in front of a hanging cliff with a cave dwelling below it. You see, mists and smoke abundant, cypress and pine umbrageous. Mist and smoke abundant, their hues surround the door. Cypress and pine umbrageous, their green entwines the gate. Flat, dried wood supports a bridge. Wisterias coil round the ridge. Birds carrying red petals reach the cloudy gorge, and deer tread on florets to comb the rocky flats. Before that door, the flowers bloom with the season as the wind wafts their fragrance. Atop the dike shading willows, orioles sing. O'er the banks, sweet peaches, butterflies flit. This rustic spot, though no cause for much praise, still rivals the beauty of Mount Panglai. Umbrageous. I'm going to look that up later. Pilgrim went to the door and found that the two stone doors were tightly closed. On top of the door was a stone tablet on which was plainly written in large letters, Black Wind Mountain, Black Wind Cave. He lifted his rod to beat at the door, crying, "Open the door." A little demon who stood guard at the door came out and asked, "Who are you that you dare beat at our immortal cave?" "You damnable beast," scolded Pilgrim. "What sort of place is this that you dare assume the title of immortal? Is the word immortal for you to use? Hurry inside and tell that swarthy fellow to bring out your venerable father's cassock at once. Then I may spare the lives of the whole nest of you." The little demon ran swiftly inside and reported, "Great king, you won't have a festival of the Buddha robe. There's a monk with a hairy face and a thunder god mouth outside demanding the cassock." That swarthy fellow, after being chased by Pilgrim from the grass meadow, had just managed to reach the cave. He had not even been able to sit down when he again heard this announcement, and he thought to himself, I wonder where this fellow came from, so arrogant that he dared show up making demands at my door. He asked for his armor, and after putting it on, he walked outside holding a lance with black tassels. Pilgrim stood on one side of the gate, holding his iron rod and glaring. The monster indeed cut a formidable figure. A bowl-like helmet of dark burnished steel, a black gold cuirass that shone most bright, a black silk robe with wide wind-bagging sleeves, and dark green sashes with long, long tassels. He held in his hands a black tasseled lance. He wore on his feet 2 black leather boots. His eyes' golden pupils like lightning flashed. He was thus in this mountain the Black Wind King. This fellow, said Pilgrim, smiling to himself, looks exactly like a kiln worker or a coal miner. He must scrub charcoal here for a living. How did he get to be black all over? The monster called out in a loud voice, What kind of a monk are you that you dare to be so impudent around here? Rushing up to him with his iron rod, Pilgrim roared, No idle conversation. Return the cassock of your venerable grandfather at once. What monastery are you from, Bonds? Asked the monster, and where did you lose your cassock that you dare show up at my place and demand its return? My cassock, said Pilgrim, was stored in the back room of the Guanyin Hall due north of here. Because of the fire there, you committed robbery by taking advantage of the confusion. After making off with the garment, you even wanted to start a festival of the Buddha robe to celebrate your birthday. Do you deny this? Give it back to me quickly, and I'll spare your life. If you but mutter a half no, I'll return the Black Wind Mountain and level the Black Wind Cave. Your whole cave of demons will be pulverized. When the monster heard these words, he laughed scornfully and said, You audacious creature, you yourself set the fire last night, for you were the one who summoned the wind on top of the roof. I took the cassock all right, but what are you going to do about it? Where do you come from, and what is your name? What ability do you have that you dare mouth such reckless words? Pilgrim said, So you don't recognize your venerable grandfather. Here is the disciple of the master of the law, Tripitaka, who happens to be the brother of the throne in the great Tang nation. My surname is Sun, and my given name is Wukong Pilgrim. If I tell you my abilities, you'll be frightened out of your wits and die right on the spot. I won't, said the monster. Tell me what abilities you have. My son, said Pilgrim, laughing, brace yourself. Listen carefully. Great since my youth was my magic power. I changed with the wind to display my might. Long I trained my nature and practiced truth to flee the wheel of karma with my life. With mind sincere, I always sought the way. Seedlings of herbs I plucked on Mount Lingtai. Lingtai? There was in that mountain an old immortal, his age 108,000 years. He became my master most solemnly and showed me the way to longevity, saying that in my body were physique and pills, which one would work in vain to seek outside. He gave me those high secrets of the gods. With no foundation, I would have been lost. My inner light relumed, I sat in peace, as sun and moon mated within myself. I thought of nothing, all my desires gone, my body strengthened, my 6 senses cleansed. From age back to youth was an easy boon. To join transcendence was no distant goal. 3 years without leaks made a godlike frame, immune to sufferings known to mortal men. Playing through the 10 islets and 3 isles, I made the rounds at heaven's very edge. I lived like that for some 300 years, though not yet ascended to the 9-fold heaven. Taming sea dragons brought me treasure true. The golden-hooped rod I did find below. As field marshal at the flower fruit mount, monsters I gathered at Water Curtain Cave. Then the Jade Emperor gave to me the name, equal to heaven, such the rank most high. Thrice I caused havoc in divine Mist's hall. Once I stole peaches from the mother queen. Thus came 100,000 men divine to curb me with their rows of spears and swords. The Deva Raja was beaten back to heaven, while Nada in pain led his troops and fled. Zhansheng Master knew transformations well. With him I waged a contest and I fell. Lao Jai, Guan Yin, and the Jade Emperor all watched the battle at South Heaven Gate. When Lao Jai decided to lend his help, Erlang brought me to Heaven's magistrate. To the monster-routing pillar I was tied. The gods were told to have my head cut off. Failing to harm me with either sledge or sword, they would blast and burn me with thunderclaps. What skills indeed did this old monkey have, who was not even half a whit afraid? Into Lao Jai's brazier they sent me next, brazier, whatever, to have me slowly cooked by fire divine. The day the lid was opened, I jumped out and ran through heaven brandishing a rod. Back and forth I prowled, with none to stop me, making havoc through all 36 heavens. Then Tathagata revealed his power. Under Mount 5 phases he had me clamped, and there I squirmed for a full 500 years, till by luck Tripitaka left the Tang court. Now I go west, having yielded to truth, to see jade eyebrows at great thunderclap. Go and ask in the four corners of the universe. You'll learn I'm the famous ranking daemon of all time. Daimon? Whichever. When the monster heard these words, he laughed and said, "So you were the Banhorse plague who disturbed the celestial palace?" What most annoyed Pilgrim was when people called him Banhorse Plague. The moment he heard that name, he lost his temper. "You monstrous rogue," he shouted. "You would not return the cassock you stole, and yet you dare insult this holy monk. Don't run away. Watch this rod." The swarthy fellow jumped aside to dodge the blow. Wielding his long lance, he went forward to meet his opponent. That was some battle between the two of them. The compliant rod, the black-tasseled lance. Two men display their power before the cave, stabbing at the heart and face, striking at the head and arm. This one proves handy with a death-dealing rod. That one tilts the lance for swift triple jabs. The white tiger climbing the mountain extends his paws. The yellow dragon lying on the road turns his back. With colored mists flying and bright flashes of light, two monster gods' strength is yet to be tried. One's the truth-seeking equal to heaven's sage. One's the great black king who's now a spirit. Why wage this battle in the mountains still? The cassock, for which each would aim to kill. That monster fought with Pilgrim for more than 10 rounds until about noon, but the battle was a draw. Using his lance to halt the rod for a moment, the swarthy fellow said, "Pilgrim's son, let us put away our weapons for the time being. Let me have some lunch first, and then I'll wage a further contest with you." "Accursed beast," said Pilgrim. "You want to be a hero? Which hero wants to eat after fighting for merely half a day? Consider old Monkey, who was imprisoned beneath the mountain for altogether 500 years, and he hadn't even tasted a drop of water. So what's this about being hungry? Don't give me any excuses and don't run away. Give me back my cassock, and I'll allow you to go and eat." But that monster only managed to throw one more feeble thrust with his lance before dashing into the cave and shutting his stone doors. He dismissed his little demons and made preparations for the banquet, writing out invitation cards to the monster kings of various mountains, but we shall say no more about that. We must tell you that Pilgrim had no success in breaking down the door, and so had to return to the Guanyin Hall. The clerics of that monastery had already buried the old monk, and they were all gathered in the back room to minister to the Tang monk, serving him lunch soon after he had finished breakfast. As they were scurrying about fetching soup and hauling water, Pilgrim was seen descending from the sky. The monks bowed courageously and received him into the back room to see Tripitaka. "Wukong," said Tripitaka, "so you've returned. How is the cassock?" "At least I found the real culprit," said Pilgrim. "It was a good thing that we did not punish these monks, for the monster of Blackwind Mountain did steal it. I went secretly looking for him and saw him seated on a beautiful grass meadow having a conversation with a white-robed scholar and an old Taoist. He was, in a sense, making a confession without being tortured, saying something about the day after tomorrow being his birthday, when he would invite all the other griffins for the occasion. He also mentioned that he had found an embroidered Buddha robe last night, in celebration of which he was planning to throw a large banquet, calling it the Festival of the Buddha Robe. Old Monkey rushed up to them and struck out with his rod. The swarthy fellow changed into the wind and left, and the Taoist also disappeared. The white-robed scholar, however, was killed, and he turned out to be a white-spotted snake who had become a spirit. I quickly chased the swarthy fellow to his cave and demanded that he come out to fight. He had already admitted that he took the cassock, but we fought to a draw after a half day of battle. The monster returned to his cave because he wanted to eat. He closed his stone doors tightly and refused to fight anymore. I came back to see how you were and to make this report to you. Since I know the whereabouts of the cassock, I'm not worried about his unwillingness to give it back to me. When the various monks heard this, some of them folded their hands while others kowtowed, all chanting, Namo Amitabha. Now that the whereabouts of the cassock is known, we have a claim to our lives again. Don't celebrate yet, said Pilgrim, for I have not yet recovered it, nor has my master left. Wait until we have the cassock so that my master can walk peacefully out of this door before you start cheering. If there's the slightest mishap, Old Monkey is no customer to be provoked, is he? Have you served some good things to my master? Have you given our horse plenty of hay? We have, cried the monks hastily. Our service to the holy monk has not slackened in the least. You were gone only half a day, said Tripitaka, and I have been served tea 3 times and have had 2 vegetarian meals. They didn't dare slight me. You should therefore make a great effort to get back to the cassock. Don't rush, said Pilgrim. Since I know where he is, I shall certainly capture this fellow and return the garment to you. Relax. Can y'all hear that? Freaking cat is ridiculous. As they were speaking, the abbot brought in some more vegetarian dainties to serve to the holy monk's son. Pilgrim ate some and left at once on the hallowed cloud to search for the monster. As he was traveling, he saw a little demon approaching from the main road, who had a box made of pear tree wood wedged between his left arm and his body. Suspecting that something important was inside the box, Pilgrim raised his rod and brought it down hard on the demon's head. Alas, the demon could not take such a blow. He was instantly reduced to a meat patty, which Pilgrim tossed to the side of the road. When he opened the box, there was indeed an invitation slip, on which was written, That's fascinating, Coulson. Yeah? You want outside? Your student servant, the bear, most humbly addresses the exalted aged dean of the Golden Pool. For the gracious gifts you have bestowed on me on several occasions, I am profoundly grateful. I regret that I was unable to assist you last night when you were visited by the god of fire, but I suppose that your holy eminence has not been adversely affected in any way. Your student, by chance, has acquired a Buddha robe, and this occasion calls for a festive celebration. I have therefore prepared with care some fine wine for your enjoyment, with a sincere hope that your holy eminence will be pleased to give us a visit. This invitation is respectfully submitted 2 days in advance. When Pilgrim saw this, he roared with laughter, saying, That old carcass! He didn't lose anything by his death, so he belonged to a monster's gang. Small wonder that he lived to his 270th year. That monster, I suppose, must have taught him some little magic, like ingesting his breath. And that was how he enjoyed such longevity. I can still remember how he looked. Let me change myself into that monk and go to the cave to see where my cassock is located. If I can manage it, I'll take it back without wasting my energy. Dear great sage. He recited a spell, faced the wind, and changed at once into an exact semblance of that old monk. Putting away his iron rod, he strode to the cave, crying, Open the door! When the little demon who stood at the door saw such a figure, he quickly made his report inside. Great king, the elder of the golden pool has arrived. Greatly surprised, the monster said, I just sent a little one to deliver an invitation to him, but he could not possibly have reached his destination even at this moment. How could the old monk arrive so quickly? I suppose the little one did not run into him on the way, but Pilgrim's son must have asked him to come here for the cassock. You, steward, hide the cassock. Don't let him see it. Walking through the front door, Pilgrim saw in the courtyard pines and bamboos sharing their green, peaches and plums competing in their glamour. Flowers were blooming everywhere, and the air was heavy with the scent of orchids. It was quite a grotto heaven. He saw, moreover, a parallel couplet mounted on both sides of the second doorway that read, A deep mountain retreat without worldly cares, a divine cave secluded, what joy serene. Pilgrim said to himself, This fellow is also one who withdraws from dirt and dust, a fiendish creature who knows his fate. He walked through the door and proceeded further. When he passed through the third doorway, he saw carved beams with elaborate ornaments and large windows brightly decorated. Then the swarthy fellow appeared, wearing a casual jacket made of a fine dark green silk, topped by a crow-green cape of figured damask. He wore a head wrap of black cloth and was shod in a pair of black suede boots. When he saw Pilgrim entering, he tidied his clothes and went down the steps to receive him, saying, Golden Pool, old friend, we haven't seen each other for days. Please take a seat. Please take a seat. Pilgrim greeted him ceremoniously, after which they sat down and drank tea. After tea, the monster bowed low and said, I just sent you a brief note, humbly inviting you to visit me the day after tomorrow. Why does my old friend grant me that pleasure today already? I was just coming to pay my respects, said Pilgrim, and I did not anticipate meeting your kind messenger. When I saw that there was going to be a festival of the Buddha robe, I came hurriedly, hoping to see the garment. My old friend may be mistaken, said the monster, laughing. This cassock originally belonged to the Tang monk, who was staying at your place. Why would you want to look at it here, since you must surely have seen it before? Your poor monk, answered Pilgrim, did borrow it, but he did not have the opportunity last night to examine it before it was taken by the great king. Moreover, our monastery, including all our belongings, was destroyed by fire, and the disciple of that Tang monk was rather bellicose about the matter. In all that confusion, I couldn't find the cassock anywhere, not knowing that the great king in his good fortune found it. That's why I came specially to see it. As they were speaking, one of the little demons out on patrol came back to report. Great king, disaster. The junior officer who went to deliver the invitation was beaten to death by Pilgrim's son and left by the wayside. Our enemy followed the clue and changed himself into the Golden Pool elder so that he could obtain the Buddha robe by fraud. When the monster heard that, he said to himself, I was wondering already why he came today, and in such a hurried manner, too. So, it's really he. Leaping up, he grabbed his lance and aimed it at Pilgrim. Whipping out the rod from his ear, Pilgrim assumed his original form and parried the lance. They rushed from the living room to the front courtyard, and from there they fought their way out to the front door. The monsters in the cave were frightened out of their wits. Young and old in that household were horror-stricken. This fierce contest before the mountain was even unlike the last one. This monkey king boldly posed as a monk. That swarthy chap wisely concealed the robe. Back and forth went their clever repartee, adapting to each instant perfectly. He would see the cassock, but had no means. This runic treasure's a mystery indeed. The small imp on patrol announced mishap. The old fiend in anger showed his power. They fought their way out of the Blackwind cave. The rod and the lance forced a trial by might. The rod checked the lance, their noise resounding. The lance met the rod, causing sparks to fly. The changes of Wukong, all unknown to men. The monster's magic skills, so rare on earth. This one wanted for his birthday feet a Buddha robe. Would that one with no cassock go home in peace? The bitter fight, this time, seemed without end. Even a live Buddha descending could not break them up. From the entrance of the cave, the two of them fought up to the peak of the mountain, and from the peak of the mountain, they fought their way up to the clouds. Belching wind and fog, kicking up sand and rocks, they fought until the red sun sank toward the west, but neither of them could gain the upper hand. The monster said, "Hey, son, stop for a moment. It's getting too late to fight anymore. Go away. Come back tomorrow morning, and we'll decide your fate." "Don't run away, my son," cried Pilgrim. "If you want to fight, act like a fighter. Don't give me the excuse that it's getting late." With his rod, he rained blows indiscriminately on his opponent's head and face, but the swarthy fellow changed once more into a clear breeze and went back to his cave. Tightly bolting his stone doors, he refused to come out. Pilgrim had no alternative except to go back to the Guanyin Hall. Dropping down from the clouds, he said, "Master." Tripitaka, who was waiting for him with bulging eyes, was delighted to see him, but when he did not see the cassock, he became frightened again. "How is it that you still have not brought back the cassock?" he asked. Pilgrim took out from his sleeve the invitation slip and handed it over to Tripitaka, saying, "Master, the monster and that old carcass used to be friends. He sent a little demon here with this invitation for him to go to a festival of the Buddha rope. I killed the little demon and changed into the form of the old monk to get inside the cave. I managed to trick him into giving me a cup of tea, but when I asked for the cassock, he refused to show it to me. As we were sitting there, my identity was leaked by someone on patrol in the mountain, and we began to fight. The battle lasted until this early evening and ended in a draw. When the monster saw that it was late, he slipped back into the cave and tightly bolted up his stone door. Old Monkey had no choice but to return here for the moment." "How's your skill as a fighter when compared with his?" asked Tripitaka. "Not much better," said Pilgrim. "We are quite evenly matched." Tripitaka then read the invitation slip and handed it to the abbot, saying, "Could it be that your master was also a monster spirit?" Falling to his knees, the abbot said, "Old father, my master is human. Because that great black king attained the way of humanity through self-cultivation, he frequently came to the monastery to discuss religious texts with my master. He imparted to my master a little of the magic of nourishing one's spirit and ingesting breath. Hence, they address each other as friends." "This bunch of monks here," said Pilgrim, "don't have the aura of monsters. Each one has a round head pointing to the sky and a pair of feet set flat on the earth. They are a little taller and heavier than Old Monkey, but they are no monsters. Look at what's written on the slip. Your student servant, the bear. This creature must be a black bear who has become a spirit." Tripitaka said, "I have heard from the ancients that the bear and the ape are of the same kind. They are all beasts, in other words. How can this bear become a spirit?" "Old Monkey is also a beast," said Pilgrim, laughing. "But I became the great sage equal to heaven. Is he any different? All the creatures of this world who possess the 9 apertures can become immortals through the art of self-cultivation. You just said that the two of you were evenly matched," said Tripitaka again. "How can you defeat him and recover my cassock?" Lay off, said Pilgrim. "I know what to do." As they were discussing the matter, the monks brought in the evening meal for master and disciple. Afterwards, Tripitaka asked for lamps to go to the Chan Hall in front to rest. The rest of the monks reclined against the walls beneath some temporary awnings and slept, while the back rooms were given to accommodate the senior and junior abbots. It was now late. You see, the silver stream aglow, the air perfectly pure, the sky full of bright and twinkling stars, the river marked by receding tide. All sounds are hushed, all hills emptied of birds. The fisherman's fire dies by the brook. The lamps grow faint on the pagoda. Last night, Acarius sounded drums and bells. Only weeping is heard throughout this night. So they spent the night in the Chan Hall. Do you guys still hear me? I might have had a blip in my internet. It said it was disconnected, so hopefully you can still hear me. Okay, cool. Thank you, Kel. And Dom. So they spent the night in the Chan Hall, but Tripitaka was thinking about the cassock. How could he possibly sleep well? As he tossed and turned, he suddenly saw the windows growing bright. He arose at once and called, Wukong, it's morning. Go find the cassock quickly. Pilgrim leapt up with a bound and saw that the monks were bringing in washing water. All of you, said Pilgrim, take care to minister to my master. Old Monkey is leaving. Getting up from his bed, Tripitaka clutched at him, asking, Where are you going? Come to think of it, said Pilgrim, this whole affair reveals the irresponsibility of the Bodhisattva Guanyin. She has a Chan hall here where she has enjoyed the incense and worship of all the local people, and yet she can permit a monster spirit to be her neighbor. I'm leaving for the South Sea to find her for a little conversation. I'm going to ask her to come here and demand that the monster return the cassock to us. When will you be back? Asked Tripitaka. Probably right after breakfast, answered Pilgrim. At the latest, I should be back around noon when everything should be taken care of. All of you monks must take care to wait on my master. Old Monkey is leaving. He said he was leaving, and the next instant he was already out of sight. In a moment, he arrived at the South Sea, where he stopped his cloud to look around. He saw a vast expanse of ocean, where water and sky seemed to merge. Auspicious light shrouded the earth. Hallowed air brightened the world. Endless snow-capped waves surged up to heaven. Layers of misty billows washed out the sun. Water flying everywhere, waves churning all around. Water flying everywhere rolled like thunderclaps. Waves churning all around boomed like cannonade. Cannonade? Speak not merely of water. Let's look more at the center. The treasure-filled mountain of 5 dazzling colors: red, yellow, green, deep purple, and blue. If this be Guanyan's scenic region true, look further at Podalaka of South Sea. What a splendid place. The tall mountain peak cut through airy space. In its midst were thousands of rare flowers, 100 kinds of divine herbs. The wind stirred the precious trees. The sun shone on the golden lotus. Glazed tiles covered the Guanyin hall. Tortoiseshell spread before the tidal sound cave. In the shades of green willow, the parrots spoke. Within the bamboo grove, the peacocks sang. On rocks with grains like fingerprints, the guardians fierce and solemn. Before the cornelian foreshore, Moxa strong and heroic. Pilgrim, who could hardly take his eyes off the marvelous scenery, lowered his cloud and went straight to the bamboo grove. The various deities were there to receive him, saying, The Bodhisattva told us some time ago about the conversion of the great sage, for whom she had nothing but praise. You were supposed to be accompanying the Tang monk at this moment. How do you have the time to come here? Because I am accompanying the Tang monk, said Pilgrim, I had an incident on our journey about which I must see the Bodhisattva. Please announce my arrival. The deities went to the mouth of the cave to make the announcement, and the Bodhisattva asked him to enter. Obeying the summons, Pilgrim went before the bejeweled lotus platform and knelt down. What are you doing here? Asked the Bodhisattva. On his journey, my master came across one of your Chan halls, said Pilgrim, where you receive the services of fire and incense from the local people. But you also permitted a black bear spirit to live nearby and to steal the cassock of my master. Several times I tried to get it back, but without success. I have come specifically to ask you for it. The Bodhisattva said, This monkey still speaks insolently. If the bear spirit stole your cassock, why did you come to ask me for it? It was all because you had the presumption, you wretched ape, to show off your treasure to sinister people. Moreover, you had your share of evil doing when you called for the wind to intensify the fire, which burned down one of my way stations down below. And yet you still want to be rowdy around here? When Pilgrim heard the Bodhisattva speaking like that, he realized that she had knowledge of past and future events. Hurriedly, he bowed with humility and said, Bodhisattva, please pardon the offense of your disciple. It was as you said, but I'm upset by the monster's refusal to give us back our cassock, and my master is threatening to recite that spell of his at any moment. I can't bear the headache, and that's why I have come to cause you inconvenience. I beseech the Bodhisattva to have mercy on me and help me capture that monster, so that we may recover the garment and proceed toward the west. That monster has great magical power, said the Bodhisattva, really just as strong as yours. All right, For the sake of the Tang monk, I'll go with you this time. When Pilgrim heard this, he bowed again in gratitude and asked the Bodhisattva to leave at once. They mounted the blessed clouds and soon arrived on the Black Wind Mountain. Dropping down from the clouds, they followed a path to look for the cave. As they were walking, they saw a Taoist coming down the mountain slope, holding a glass tray on which there were 2 magic pills. Pilgrim ran right into him, whipped out his rod, and brought it down squarely on his head, with one blow causing the brains to burst and blood to shoot out from the neck. Completely stunned, the Bodhisattva said, "Monkey, you are still so reckless. He didn't steal your cassock. He neither knew nor wronged you. Why did you kill him with one blow?" Bodhisattva, said Pilgrim, "you may not recognize him, but he is a friend of the Black Bear spirit. Yesterday, he was having a conversation with a white-robed scholar on the grass meadow. Since they were invited to the cave of the Black Bear spirit, who was going to give a festival of the Buddha robe to celebrate his birthday, this Taoist said that he would first go to celebrate his friend's birthday today and then attend the festival tomorrow. That's how I recognized him. He must have been on his way to celebrate the monster's birthday." "If that's how it is, all right," said the Bodhisattva. Pilgrim then went to pick up the Taoist and discovered that he was a gray wolf. The tray, which had fallen to one side, had an inscription on the bottom, "Made by Master Transcending Void." When Pilgrim saw this, he laughed and said, "What luck, what luck! Old Monkey will benefit. The Bodhisattva will save some energy. This monster may be said to have made a confession without torture, while the other monster may be destined to perish today. What are you saying, Wukong?" said the Bodhisattva. "Bodhisattva," said Pilgrim, "I, Wukong, have a saying. Plot should be met with plot. I don't know whether you will listen to me or not." "Speak up," said the Bodhisattva. "Look, Bodhisattva," said Pilgrim, "there are 2 magic pills on this little tray, and they were introductory gifts that we shall present to the monster. Beneath the tray is the 5-word inscription, 'Made by Master Transcending Void,' and this shall serve as our contact with the monster. If you will listen to me, I'll give you a plan that will dispense with weapons and do away with combat. In a moment, the monster will meet pestilence. In the twinkling of an eye, the Buddha robe will reappear. If you do not follow my suggestion, you may go back to the west, and I, Wukong, will return to the east. The Buddha robe will be counted as lost, while Tripitaka Tang will have journeyed in vain." "This monkey is pretty clever with his tongue," said the Bodhisattva, laughing. "Hardly," said Pilgrim, "but it is a small plan." "What's your plan?" asked the Bodhisattva. "Since the tray has this inscription beneath it," said Pilgrim, "the Taoist himself must be this Master Transcending Void. If you agree with me, Bodhisattva, you can change yourself into this Taoist. I'll take one of the pills and then change myself into another pill. A slightly bigger one, that is. Take this tray with the 2 magic pills and present them to the monster as his birthday gift. Let the monster swallow the bigger pill, and Old Monkey will accomplish the rest. If he is unwilling to return the Buddha robe, Old Monkey will make one, even if I have to weave it with his guts." The Bodhisattva could not think of a better plan, and she had to nod her head to show her approval. "Well," said Pilgrim, laughing. Immediately, the Bodhisattva exercised her great mercy and boundless power. With her infinite capacity for transformation, her mind moved in perfect accord with her will, and her will with her body. In one blurry instant, she changed into the form of the immortal Master Transcending Void. Her crane-down cloak swept by the wind. With airy steps, she'd pace the void. Her face, aged like cypress and pine, shows fair, fresh features never seen. She moves with freedom without end, a special self-sustaining thus. In some, all return to one form, but from bodies perverse set free. When Pilgrim saw the transformation, he cried, "Marvelous, marvelous! Is the monster the Bodhisattva, or is the Bodhisattva the monster?" The Bodhisattva smiled and said, "Wukong, the Bodhisattva and the monster, they both exist in a single thought. Considered in terms of their origin, they are all nothing." Immediately enlightened, Pilgrim turned around and changed at once into a magic pill. A rolling pan steadying pearl, round, bright, of no known recipe. Fused 3x3 at Mount Gulau. Forged 6x6 with Xiao Wang's help. Like glazed tiles and yellow gold flames, it shines with sun and Manny's light. Its coat of mercury and lead has power not with ease assessed. The pill into which Pilgrim had changed was slightly larger than the other one. Making a mental note of it, the Bodhisattva took the glass tray and went straight to the entrance of the monster's cave. She paused to look around and saw deep gorges, parlous cliffs, clouds rising from the peaks, green pines and cypresses, and wind rustling in the woods. Deep gorges, parlous cliffs, a place truly made for monsters and not for man. But green pines and cypresses might seem fit for pious recluse to seek the way. The mountain has a stream, and the stream has water. Its current murmurs, lightly as a lute, worthy to cleanse your ears. The cliff has deers, the woods have cranes, where softly hums the music of the spheres to lift your spirit. So it was the bogus immortal's luck with Bodhi coming. To vouchsafe boundless mercy was her vow. After looking over the place, the Bodhisattva was secretly pleased and said to herself, if this cursed beast could occupy such a mountain, it might be that he is destined to attain the way. Thus, she was already inclined to be merciful. When she walked up to the cave's entrance, some of the little demons standing guard there recognized her, saying, Immortal Transcending Void has arrived. Some went to announce her arrival, while others greeted her. Just then, the monster came bowing out the door, saying, Transcending Void, you honor my humble abode with your divine presence. This humble Taoist, said the Bodhisattva, respectfully submits an elixir pill as a birthday gift. After the two of them had bowed to each other, they were seated. The incidents of the day before were mentioned, but the Bodhisattva made no reply. Instead, she took up the tray and said, Great King, please accept the humble regard of this little Taoist. She chose the large pill and pushed it over to the monster, saying, May the great king live for 1,000 years. The monster then pushed the other pill over to the Bodhisattva, saying, I wish to share this with Master Transcending Void. After this ceremonial presentation, the monster was about to swallow it, but the pill rolled by itself right down his throat. It changed back into its original form and began to do physical exercises. The monster fell to the ground while the Bodhisattva revealed her true form and recovered the Buddha robe from the monster. Pilgrim then left the monster's body through his nose, but fearing that the monster might still be truculent, I believe that's how that's pronounced, the Bodhisattva threw a fillet on his head. As he rose, the monster did indeed pick up his lance to thrust at Pilgrim. The Bodhisattva, however, rose into the air and began reciting her spell. The spell worked, and the monster felt excruciating pain on his head. Throwing away the lance, he rolled wildly all over the ground. In midair, the handsome Monkey King nearly collapsed with laughter. Down below, the black bear monster almost rolled himself to death on the ground. Cursed beast, said the Bodhisattva, will you now surrender? I surrender, said the monster without any hesitation. Please spare my life. Fearing that too much effort would have been wasted, Pilgrim wanted to strike at once. Quickly stopping him, the Bodhisattva said, Don't hurt him. I have some use for him. Pilgrim said, Why not destroy a monster like him? For of what use can he be? There's no one guarding the rear of my Podalaka mountain, said the Bodhisattva, and I want to take him back there to be a great mountain guardian god. Truly a salvific and merciful goddess, said Pilgrim, laughing, who will not hurt a single sentient being. If Old Monkey knew a spell like that, he'd recite it 1,000 times. That would finish off as many black bears as there are around here. So we shall tell you about the monster, who regained consciousness after a long time. Convinced by the unbearable pain, he had no choice but to fall on his knees and beg, Spare my life, for I am willing to submit to truth. Dropping down from the blessed luminosity, the Bodhisattva then touched his head and gave him the commandments, telling him to wait on her, holding the lance. So it was with the black bear. Today, his vaulting ambition is checked. This time, his boundless license has been curbed. You may return now, Wukong, instructed the Bodhisattva, and serve the Tang monk attentively. Don't start any more trouble with your carelessness. I'm grateful that the Bodhisattva was willing to come this far to help, said Pilgrim, and it is my duty as disciple to see you back. You may be excused, said the Bodhisattva, holding the cassock. Pilgrim then kowtowed to her and left, while the Bodhisattva led the bear and returned to the great ocean. We have a testimonial poem. Auspicious light surrounds the golden form. What maze of colors so worthy of praise. She shows great mercy to succor mankind, to reveal gold lotus as she scans the world. She comes all because of scripture seeking. Then she withdraws as ever chaste and pure. The fiend converted, she leaves for the sea. A Buddhist regains a brocade cassock. We do not know what happens afterwards. Let's listen to the explanation in the next chapter. Whew. Oh God, Mud Crab. The Dursleys are the real heroes of the story, are they? Complete normies with no special powers kept the chosen one safe in the face of beings with powers beyond their comprehension. Technically, your reasoning is sound. They're just not good people. Justice for the Dursleys. I can't help it. It makes me giggle, Dom. A true gentleman never reveals his lance. It's not wrong. He does really want to go out, except he gave up and is now sleeping on my freezer. What's a fake window? Chalk! Hello! Are you calling me an ice queen? I'm confused. Oh, for the hair, maybe? Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Dom. Bodhisattva really should apparently be the one that's on the journey. Wukong causes a lot of the problems. Not meaning to? And she has to come and fix them. Seems to be the pattern here, at least. Okay, I'm going to close the poll here. It has been an hour. So the bleached hair wins here. Let's see how we're faring over here. Oh, Dai is winning at 64% with 17 votes. I do want to establish poll results. May determine my decision. We'll see. So, what did you guys think of that chapter? I feel like a lot happened, but not a lot happened. You don't know. We'll see. Just depends. Technically, the dye that I was planning on going with might not go so well with my dress. Like it might clash. And there's no going back.
Mm-hmm.
Are you meaning like combining the Twitter poll with the 33% over here? I mean, that one has like 23 hours left. So depending on how many more votes, it might change. When Tripitaka says, how come you didn't get my cassock yet? I'd be like, why don't you get yourself fish? Yeah. Yeah, I found that funny. And didn't he like, oh, what was the words? There were words I was going to look up. I thought he like contradicted himself somewhere. You came today in such a hurried manner. But I can't find it. What was that word? I think it was, oh yeah, it was in a poem. I need to look. It was like umbrage, but not. Umbragus? Umbragus. Like spelled like gorgeous. So umbrageous? Umbrageous. Gorgeous. I wonder if it's actually like a derivative of umbrage, which would be hilarious. Umbrageous. I didn't think about that when I was reading it. So, okay, umbrageous, 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 forming or affording a shade, shady or shaded. Umbrageous trees or foliage. Huh. Okay. Not easily perceived, as if from being darkened or shaded, obscure. Feeling jealousy or umbrage. It is a derivative of umbrage. That's funny. Umbrageous. Yep, I got it, Dom. There was another one. Truculent. I'm pretty sure that's how that is pronounced. Truculent. Truculence, I think, is what I'm used to. Disposed or eager to fight or engage in the hostile opposition. Opposition. Opposition? What the fuck? Truculent. Okay, I was correct. Belligerent. Definitely describes monkey, that's for sure. How we doing? I think I was looking at how many chapters were left prior to the stream, and I feel like maybe the next chapter is kind of short, or maybe it's chapter 19. It's 18. Yeah, this one's only 10 pages. But I feel like 17 was long. It was 17 pages. That makes sense. Still, 18 is kind of short. It's interesting. I would say that maybe I'll get to 3. Got an hour and a half. But 19, chapter 19. 3, 7, 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's 12 pages. We'll see. I don't know. Sorry, my OCD kicked in. I don't like knowing that I have a million notifications, so I clear them sometimes. I hate you, Shock. I love you, but I hate you. Where you learned to read real good. Oh, that just hurt my soul. You hurt my soul. So in this story, not too many people die right in battle. They just give up. Yeah, kind of. It really, the ones that are dying so far are ones that like Monkey just dispatches immediately. So NPCs, essentially. God damn it, Shock. AT&T service sucks. Did you lose interwebs? Is that why you're saying that? I have Verizon, so when I was in Cali, in the Marines, Verizon, granted this was 12 years ago, 13 years ago technically. Verizon was like the only service that actually, whenever we go on training operations out into the middle and nowhere type of areas, Verizon, like my Marines were just like, "Hey, Corporal, can I borrow your phone? I need to send a message, or I need to check this, or I need to check that." And I was the only one that had service because I was the only one with Verizon, or one of the few with Verizon that would also proceed to let them use their phone. Has a big Brian, really, Shock? Thanks, I think. AT&T does suck. Oh, they're having a global outage. Oh. What is SOS mode? Like, did you get a notification for an Amber Alert or something? Is that like airplane mode? Or is there like a please come save me mode? I'm surprised you didn't get on my bad grammar there on my last sentence. I decided to be nice. You used the wrong to, which means I feel like you did it on purpose since you knew. I could be wrong. Oh, I did not know that was a thing. Interesting. Good to know. Sucks to be you, nerd. Can you guys hear my refrigerator when it's loud like that? Because the mic is right next to it. Because it goes into like, I don't even know what mode. Loud mode. I don't know what it's actually doing, but. So you didn't know. I see now, Dom. I was giving you too much credit. Shame on me. I should know better. Who you calling a homo? That's rude. Oh, you meant you're having a rough drive home. I see, Kel. I mean, I know. I am aware. All right, I'm going to be right back. I need to refresh my tea. All right. I be here. I be back. Oh, Lord. What kind of tea? Yorkshire. In my lovely Harry Potter themed Marauders map. It's one of those color changing ones. So like when it gets cold, it turns black. How frequently do you use that word then? Generally speaking, auto misspeller, as Legatus calls it, tends to, what I've noticed, when it autofills where it shouldn't, it tends to be like words that are somewhat pseudo frequent. You calling your friends a homos all the time. Aw, Shock, I'm sorry you're having a terrible day. Is it because of the DMV? Colorado has done this lovely thing where they just do everything online now. Emphasis on lovely being sarcastic, because it's kind of weird. Like with your ID specifically, it's weird. But what they do is, so our IDs, I think, last 7 years, 8 years or something. And if your photo is older than 10 years, you have to go in for a new one. But if it's not older than 10 years, then you don't. It's like a newfangled COVID thing, I'm sure. Registration, I'm perfectly fine. Vehicle registration, like renewal. I don't know if new registration you can do online, but it's convenient, and I'm a hermit, so I don't like leaving my house. This is true. Seriously, why do you have to ask? It's me, Dom. I'm assuming you're meaning why do I have to pull up the mistake? I did it with Kel too. I could be like Jess and constantly correct every single time. But I'm not. For now. Need to do some real world stuff. Well, you enjoy that, Mud Crab. I appreciate you hanging out for this long. I'm about to start the next chapter here in a moment. Was it an all-day thing? Shock, I take it. Like, did you have to take work off for it? Are you telling me that New York hasn't had licenses that fit within that enhanced crap for like years by now? Colorado's license fit that stupid requirement 10 years ago. Something like that. Hey, you spelled grammar correctly. Good job, Dom. Gotcha. Well, at least you didn't have to take work off. Although, sometimes that's nice. I'd just rather take work off for non-DMV type things. When does my passport expire? I think it passed in 4 years, I think. It's funny. So I had to renew mine, and my mom got hers in 2018, and we were going on a trip to the UK and Ireland. And both of us had forgotten to sign it. And the lady at check-in for our tickets, who looked at our passports and everything, she noticed and she handed me the passport, so I signed it. Except it was my mother's freaking passport. I was like, you couldn't have looked at the photo and handed it to the right person? Seriously? I mean, it's on me because I didn't look at it to make sure before I signed it, but I assumed that she would have handed it to the right person. But that's what I get for assuming. And yes, I look a lot like my mother, but not that much. It beats me. There's some difference. So like I think it's got to have some sort of encoded thing within it that some states didn't have. And it was like made a federal law, but the other states like balked at that. So they got like an extension on it to where everybody had to have it by 2025. It's stupid. Real dumb. CDL, so I had the real ID since its inception. Yeah. Oh. I don't know why I keep bringing it up. Sorry. So you can't go overseas with the passport card. It's like to Canada or Mexico. So like border countries. That's my understanding. Helps single you out for fondling. That's okay. So that's what it used to be for the passport card. So like in New York, if you wanted to go over to friggin' Niagara Falls or something, or if you're like in Buffalo, you can just quickly go over it. Oh, gotcha, Shock. My bad. I believe so. So I don't know if Canada does something like that, Legatus. You used to have hazmat? What level? Or is hazmat different from like mop levels? I don't really know how it works in the civilian world. Okay. Y'all chat amongst yourselves. I'm going to read. Do what I'm here for. Chapter 18. At Guanyin Hall, the Tang monk leaves his ordeal. At Gao Village, the great sage casts out the monster. Pilgrim took leave of the Bodhisattva. Lowering the direction of his cloud, he hung the cassock on one of the fragrant cedars nearby. He took out his rod and fought his way into the Black Wind Cave. But where could he find even a single little demon inside? The fact of the matter was that when they saw the Bodhisattva's epiphany, causing the old monster to roll all over the ground, they all scattered. Pilgrim, however, was not to be stopped. He piled dry wood around the several doorways in the cave and started a fire in the front and in the back. The whole Black Wind Cave was reduced to a Red Wind Cave. Picking up the cassock, Pilgrim then mounted his auspicious luminosity and went north. We now tell you about Tripitaka, who was impatiently waiting for Pilgrim's return and wondering whether Bodhisattva had consented to come and help, or whether Pilgrim on some pretext had left him. He was filled with such foolish thoughts and wild speculations when he saw bright, rose-colored clouds approaching in the sky. Dropping at the foot of the steps and kneeling, Pilgrim said, "Master, the cassock is here." Tripitaka was most delighted, and not one of the monks could hide his pleasure. "Good, good," they cried. "Now we've found our lives again." Taking the cassock, Tripitaka said, Wutong? Wukong, when you left in the morning, you promised to come back either after breakfast or sometime around noon. Why do you return so late when the sun is already setting? Pilgrim then gave a thorough account of how he went to ask for the Bodhisattva's help and how she and her transformation had subdued the monster. When Tripitaka heard the account, he prepared an incense table at once and worshipped facing south. Then he said, "Disciple, since we have the Buddha robe, let us pack up and leave." "No need to rush like that," said Pilgrim. "It's getting late. Hardly the time to travel. Let's wait until tomorrow morning before we leave." All the monks knelt down and said, "Elder Sun is right. It is getting late, and moreover, we have a vow to fulfill. Now that we are all saved and the treasure has been recovered, we must redeem our vow and ask the venerable elders to distribute the blessing. Tomorrow we shall see you off to the west." Yes, that's very good," said Pilgrim. "Look at those monks." They all emptied their pockets and presented all the valuables they had managed to salvage from the fire. Everyone made some contribution. They prepared some vegetarian offerings, burned paper money to request perpetual peace, and recited several scrolls of scriptures for the prevention of calamities and deliverance from evil. The service lasted until late in the evening. The next morning they saddled the horse and took up the luggage, while the monks accompanied their guests for a great distance before turning back. As Pilgrim led the way forward, it was the happiest time of spring. You see, the horse making light tracks on grassy turfs, gold threads of willow swaying with fresh dew. Peaches and apricots fill the forest gay. Creepers grow with vigor along the way. Pairs of sun-warmed ducks rest on sandy hanks. The brook's fragrant flowers tame the butterflies. Thus autumn goes, winter fades, and spring's half gone. When will merit be made and the true writ found? Master and disciple traveled for some 6 or 7 days in the wilderness. One day, when it was getting late, they saw a village in the distance. Wukong, said Tripitaka, look, there's a village over there. How about asking for lodging for the night before we travel again tomorrow? Let's wait until I have determined whether it is a good or bad place before we decide, said Pilgrim. The master pulled in the reins as Pilgrim stared intently at the village. Truly, there were dense rows of bamboo fences, thick clusters of thatched huts. Skyscraping wild trees faced the doorways. The winding brooklet reflected the houses. Willows by the path unfurled their lovely green. Fragrant were the flowers blooming in the yard. At this time of twilight fast fading, the birds chattered everywhere in the woods. As kitchen smoke arose, cattle returned on every lane and path. You saw 2 well-fed pigs and chickens sleeping by the house's edge. And the old, sodded neighbor coming with a song. After surveying the area, Pilgrim said, Master, you may proceed. It appears to be a village of good families, where it will be appropriate for us to seek shelter. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry. The priest urged the white horse on, and they arrived at the beginning of a lane, heading into the village, where they saw a young man wearing a cotton head wrap and a blue jacket. He had an umbrella in his hand and a bundle on his back. His trousers were rolled up, and he had on his feet a pair of straw sandals with 3 loops. He was striding along the street in a resolute manner when Pilgrim grabbed him, saying, Where are you going? I have a question for you. What is this place? Struggling to break free, the man protested. Isn't there anyone else here in the village? Why must you pick on me for your question? Patron, said Pilgrim genially, don't get upset. Helping others is in truth helping yourself. What's so bad about your telling me the name of this place? Perhaps I can help you with your problems. Unable to break out of Pilgrim's grip, the man was so infuriated that he jumped about wildly. Jinxed! I'm jinxed! He cried. No end to the grievances I have suffered at the hands of my family elders, and I still have to run into this bald-headed fellow and suffer such indignity from him. If you have the ability to pry open my hand, said Pilgrim, I'll let you go. The man twisted left and right without any success. It was as if he had been clamped tight with a pair of iron tongs. He became so enraged that he threw away his bundle and his umbrella. With both hands, he rained blows and scratches on Pilgrim. With one hand steadying his luggage, Pilgrim held off the man with the other, and no matter how hard the man tried, he could not scratch or even touch Pilgrim at all. The more he fought, the firmer was Pilgrim's grip, so that the man was utterly exasperated. Yeah, I turned the sink on for a cat, but the dripping was going into a dish, so it got louder and louder. Sorry, Dom. And chat, and everyone listening. Yarg. Wukong, said Tripitaka, isn't someone coming over there? You can ask someone else. Why hang on to him like that? Let the man go. Master, you don't understand, said Pilgrim, laughing. If I ask someone else, all the fun will be gone. I have to ask him if, as the saying goes, there's going to be any business. Seeing that it was fruitless to struggle anymore, the man said finally, This place is called the Gao Village in the territory of the Kingdom of Coco. Most of the families here in the village are surnamed Gao, and that's why the village is so called. Now, please let me go. You are hardly dressed for a stroll in the neighborhood, said Pilgrim, so tell me the truth. Where are you going, and what are you doing anyway? Then I'll let you go. The man had little alternative but to speak the truth. I'm a member of the family of old Mr. Gao, and my name is Gao Kai. Old Mr. Gao has a daughter, his youngest, in fact, who is 20 years old and not yet betrothed. 3 years ago, however, a monster spirit seized her and kept her as his wife. Having a monster as his son-in-law bothered old Mr. Gao terribly. He said, My daughter having a monster as her spouse can hardly be a lasting arrangement. First, my family's reputation is ruined, and second, I don't even have any in-laws with whom we can be friends. All that time, he wanted to have this marriage annulled, but the monster absolutely refused. He locked the daughter up instead in the rear building and would not permit her to see her family for nearly half a year. The old man, therefore, gave me several taels of silver and told me to find an exorcist to capture the monster. Since then, I have hardly rested my feet. I managed to turn up 3 or 4 persons, all worthless monks and impotent Taoists. None of them could subdue the monster. A short while ago, I received a severe scolding for my incompetence, and with only half an ounce more of silver as a travel allowance, I was told to find a capable exorcist this time. I didn't expect to run into you, my unlucky star, and now my journey is delayed. That's what I meant by the grievances I had suffered in and out of the family, and that's why I was protesting just now. I didn't know you had this trick of holding people, which I couldn't overcome. Now that I have told you the truth, please let me go. It's really your luck, said Pilgrim, coupled with my vocation. They fit like the numbers 4 and 6 when you throw the dice. You needn't travel far, nor need you waste your money. We are not worthless monks or impotent Taoists, for we really do have some abilities. We are most experienced, in fact, in capturing monsters. As the saying goes, you have now not only a caring physician, but now you have cured your eyes as well. Please take the trouble of returning to the head of your family and tell him that we are holy monks sent by the throne in the land of the East to go worship Buddha in the Western heaven and acquire scriptures. We are most capable of seizing monsters and binding fiends. Don't mislead me, said Gao Kai, for I've had it up to here. If you are deceiving me and really don't have the ability to take the monster, you will only cause me more grievances. Pilgrim said, I guarantee that you won't be harmed in any way. Lead me to the door of your house. The man could not think of a better alternative. He picked up his bundle and umbrella and turned to lead master and disciple to the door of his house. You 2 elders, he said, please rest yourselves for a moment against the hitching posts there. I'll go in to report to my master. Only then did Pilgrim release him. Putting down the luggage and dismounting from the horse, master and disciple stood and waited outside the door. Gao Kai walked through the main gate and went straight to the main hall in the center, but it just so happened that he ran right into old Mr. Gao. You thick-skinned beast, railed Mr. Gao. Why aren't you out looking for an exorcist? What are you doing back here? Putting down his bundle and umbrella, Gao Kai said, Let me humbly inform my lord. Your servant just reached the end of the street and ran into 2 monks, one riding a horse and the other hauling a load. They caught hold of me and refused to let go, asking where I was going. At first, I absolutely refused to tell them, but they were most insistent, and I had no means of freeing myself. It was only then that I gave them a detailed account of my lord's affairs. The one who was holding me was delighted, saying that he would arrest the monster for us. Where did they come from? Asked old Mr. Gao. He claimed to be a holy monk, the brother of the emperor. Sorry. Said Gao Kai, who was sent from the land of the East to go worship Buddha in the Western heaven and acquire scriptures. If they are monks who have come from such a great distance, said old Mr. Gao, they may indeed have some abilities. Where are they now? Waiting outside the front door, said Gao Kai. Old Mr. Gao quickly changed his clothes and came out with Gao Kai to extend his welcome, crying, Your Grace. When Tripitaka heard this, he turned quickly, and his host was already standing in front of him. The old man had on his head a dark silk wrap. He wore a robe of Szechuan silk? Brocade in spring onion white, with a dark green sash, and a pair of boots made of rough steer hide. Smiling affably, he addressed them, saying, Honored priests, please accept my bow. Bow? Tripitaka returned his greeting, but Pilgrim stood there unmoved. When the old man saw how hideous he looked, he did not bow to him. It was bow. Why don't you say hello to me? Demanded Pilgrim. Somewhat alarmed, the old man said to Gao Kai, Young man, you have really done me in, haven't you? There's already an ugly monster in the house that we can't drive away. Now you have to fetch this thunder spirit to cause me more troubles. Old Gao, said Pilgrim, it's in vain that you have reached such old age, for you have hardly any discernment. If you want to judge people by appearances, you are utterly wrong. I, old monkey, may be ugly, but I have some abilities. I'll capture the monster for your family, exorcise the fiend, apprehend that son-in-law of yours, and get your daughter back. Will that be good enough? Why all these mutterings about appearances? When the old man heard this, he trembled with fear, but he managed to pull himself together sufficiently to say, Please, come in. At his invitation, Pilgrim led the white horse and asked Gao Kai to pick up their luggage so that Tripitaka could go in with them. With no regard for manners, he tethered the horse on one of the pillars and drew up a weather-beaten lacquered chair for his master to be seated. He pulled over another chair and sat down on one side. This little priest, said old Mr. Gao, really knows how to make himself at home. If you are willing to keep me here for half a year, said Pilgrim, then I'll truly feel at home. After they were seated, old Mr. Gao asked, Just now my little one said that you two honored priests came from the land of the East? Yes, replied Tripitaka. Your poor monk was commissioned by the court to go to the western heaven to seek scriptures for Buddha. Since we have reached your village, we would like to ask for lodging for the night. We plan to leave early tomorrow morning. So the two of you wanted lodging? Said old Mr. Gao. Then why did you say you could catch monsters? Since we are asking for a place to stay, said Pilgrim, we thought we might as well catch a few monsters just for fun. May we ask how many monsters there are in your house? My God, explained old Mr. Gao, how many monsters could we feed? There's only this one son-in-law, and we have suffered enough from him. Tell me everything about the monster, said Pilgrim. How he came to this place, what sort of power he has, and so forth. Start from the beginning, and don't leave out any details. Then I can catch him for you. From ancient times, said old Mr. Gao, this village of ours has never had any troubles with ghosts, goblins, or fiends. In fact, my sole misfortune consists of not having a son. Sorry. I had 3 daughters born to me. The eldest is named Fragrant Orchid, the second one Jade Orchid, and the third Green Orchid. The first 2, since their youth, had been promised to people belonging to this same village, but I had hoped that the youngest would take a husband who would stay with our family and consent to have his children bear our name. Since I have no son, he would in fact become my heir and look after me in my old age. Little did I expect that about 3 years ago, a fellow would turn up who was passably good-looking. He said that he came from the Fuling Mountain and that his surname was Zhu, Hog. Since he had neither parents nor brothers, he was willing to be taken in as a son-in-law, and I accepted him, thinking that someone with no other family attachment was exactly the right sort of person. When he first came into our family, he was, I must confess, fairly industrious and well-behaved. He worked hard to loosen the earth and plow the fields without even using a buffalo, and when he harvested the grains, he did the reaping without sickle or staff. He came home late in the evening and started early again in the morning, and to tell you the truth, we were quite happy with him. The only trouble was that his appearance began to change. In what way? Asked Pilgrim. Well, said old Mr. Gao, when he first came, he was a stout, swarthy fellow, but afterwards he turned into an idiot with huge ears and a long snout, with a great tuft of bristles behind his head. His body became horribly coarse and hulking. In short, his whole appearance was that of a hog. And what an enormous appetite! For a single meal he has to have 3 to 5 bushels of rice. A little snack in the morning means over 100 biscuits or rolls. It's a good thing he keeps a vegetarian diet. If he liked meat and wine, the property and estate of this old man would be consumed in half a year. Perhaps it's because he's a good worker, said Tripitaka, that he has such a good appetite. Even that appetite is a small problem, said old Mr. Gao. What is most disturbing is that he likes to come riding the wind and disappears again astride the fog. He kicks up stones and dirt so frequently that my household and my neighbors have not had a moment's peace. Then he locked up my little girl, Green Orchid, in the back building, and we haven't seen her for half a year and don't know whether she's dead or alive. We are certain now that he is a monster, and that's why we want to get an exorcist or drive him away. There's nothing difficult about that, said Pilgrim. Relax, old man. Tonight I'll catch him for you, and I'll demand that he sign a document of annulment and return your daughter. How's that? Immensely pleased, old Mr. Gow said, My taking him in was a small thing when you consider how he has ruined my good reputation and how many relatives of ours he had alienated. Just catch him for me. Why bother about a document? Please just get rid of him for me. Pilgrim said, It's simple. When night falls, you'll see the result. The old man was delighted. He asked at once for tables to be set and a vegetarian feast to be prepared. When they had finished the meal, evening was setting in. The old man asked, What sort of weapons and how many people do you need? We'd better prepare soon. I have my own weapon, replied Pilgrim. The old man said, The only thing the two of you have is that priestly staff, hardly something you can use to battle the monster. Mm-hmm. Whereupon Pilgrim took an embroidery needle out of his ear, held it in his hands, and waving it once in the wind, changed it into a golden hooped rod with the thickness of a rice bowl. Look at this rod, he said to old Mr. Gow. How does it compare with your weapons? Think it'll do for the monster? Since you have a weapon, said old Mr. Gow again, do you need some attendants? No need for any attendants, said Pilgrim. All I ask for is some decent elderly persons to keep my master company and talk with him, so that I may feel free to leave him for a while. I'll catch the monster for you and make him promise publicly to leave, so that you'll be rid of him for good. The old man at once asked his houseboy to send for several intimate friends and relatives, who soon arrived. After they were introduced, Pilgrim said, Master, you may feel quite safe sitting here. Old Monkey is off. Look at him. Lifting high his iron rod, he dragged old Mr. Gow along, saying, Lead me to the back building where the monster is staying so that I may have a look. The old man indeed took him to the door of the building in the rear. Get a key, quickly, said Pilgrim. Take a look yourself, said old Mr. Gow. If I could use a key on this lock, I wouldn't need you. Pilgrim laughed and said, Dear old man, though you are quite old, you can't even recognize a joke. I was just teasing you a little, and you took my words literally. He went forward and touched the lock. It was solidly welded with liquid copper. Annoyed, Pilgrim smashed open the door with one terrific blow of his rod and found it was pitch black inside. Old Gow, said Pilgrim, go give your daughter a call and see if she is there inside. Summoning up his courage, the old man cried, Miss Three. Recognizing her father's voice, the girl replied faintly, Papa, I'm over here. His golden pupils ablaze, Pilgrim peered into the dark shadows. How does she look? You ask. You see that her cloud-like hair is unkempt and unbrushed. Her jade-like face is grimy and unwashed. Though her nature refined is unchanged, her lovely image is weary and wan. Her cherry lips, weary and wan? Yeah. Her cherry lips seem completely bloodless, and her body is both crooked and bent. Knitted in sorrow, the moth brows are pallid. Weakened by weight loss, the speaking voice is faint. She came forward, and when she saw that it was old Mr. Gow, she clutched at him and began to wail. Stop crying, said Pilgrim. Let me ask you, where is the monster? I don't know where he has gone, said the girl. Nowadays, he leaves in the morning and comes back only after nightfall. Surrounded by cloud and fog, he comes and goes without ever letting me know where he is. Since he has learned that father is trying to drive him away, he takes frequent precautions. That's why he comes only at night and leaves in the morning. No need to talk anymore, Pilgrim said. Old man, take your beloved daughter to the building in front, and then you can spend all the time you want with her. Old Monkey will be here waiting for him. If the monster doesn't show up, don't blame me. But if he comes at all, I'll pull out the weeds of your troubles by the roots. With great joy, old Mr. Gow led his daughter to the front building. Exercising his magic might, Pilgrim shook his body and changed at once into the form of that girl, sitting all by herself to wait for the monster. In a little while, a gust of wind swept by, kicking up dust and stones. What a wind! At first, it was a breeze gentle and light. Thereafter, it became gusty and strong. A light, gentle breeze that could fill the world. A strong, gusty wind that nothing else could stop. Flowers and willow snapped like shaken hemp. Trees and plants were felled like uprooted crops. It stirred up streams and seas, cowing ghosts and gods. It fractured rocks and mountains, awing heaven and earth. Flower-nibbling deer lost their homeward trail. Fruit-picking monkeys all were gone astray. The seven-tiered pagoda crashed on Buddha's head. Flags on 8 sides damaged the temple's top. Gold beams and jade pillars were rooted up. Like flocks of swallow flew the roofing tiles. The boatman lifted his oars to make a vow, eager to have his livestock sacrificed. The local spirit abandoned his shrine. Dragon kings from 4 seas made humble bows. At sea the ship of Yaksa ran aground, while half of Great Wall's rampart was blown down. When the violent gust of wind had gone by, there appeared in midair a monster who was ugly indeed. With his black face covered with short, stubby hair, his long snout, and huge ears, he wore a cotton shirt that was neither quite green nor quite blue. A sort of spotted cotton handkerchief was tied around his head. Said Pilgrim, smiling to himself, "So, I have to do business with a thing like this. Dear Pilgrim." He never greeted the monster, nor did he speak to him. He lay on the bed instead and pretended to be sick, moaning all the time. Unable to tell the true form from the false, the monster walked into the room and, grabbing his spouse, he at once demanded a kiss. "He really wants to sport with old monkey," said Pilgrim, smiling to himself. Using a holding trick, he caught the long snout of that monster and gave it a sudden, violent twist, sending him crashing to the floor with a loud thud. Picking himself up, the monster supported himself on the side of the bed and said, "Sister, how is it that you seem somewhat annoyed with me today? Because I'm late, perhaps?" "I'm not annoyed," said Pilgrim. "If not," said that monster, "why did you give me such a fall?" "How can you be so boorish," said Pilgrim, "grabbing me like that and wanting to kiss me? I don't feel very well today. Under normal conditions, I would have been up waiting for you and would have opened the door myself. You may take off your clothes and go to sleep." The fiend did not suspect anything and took off his clothes. Pilgrim jumped up and sat on the chamber pot while the fiend climbed into bed. Groping around, he could not feel anyone and called out, "Sister, where have you gone? Please take off your clothes and go to sleep." "You go to sleep first," said Pilgrim, "for I have to wait until I've dropped my load." The fiend indeed loosened his clothes and stayed in bed. Suddenly, Pilgrim gave out a sigh, saying, "My luck's pretty low." "What's bothering you?" said the monster. "What do you mean your luck's pretty low? It's true that I have consumed quite a bit of food and drink since I entered your family, but I certainly did not take them as free meals. Look at the things I did for your family. Sweeping the grounds and draining the ditches, hauling bricks and carrying tiles, building walls and pounding mortar, plowing the fields and raking the earth, planting seedlings of rice and wheat. In short, I took care of your entire estate. Now what you have on your body happens to be brocade, and what you wear as ornaments happens to be gold. You enjoy the flowers and fruits of 4 seasons, and you have fresh vegetables for the table in all 8 periods. Whatever makes you so dissatisfied that you have to sigh and lament, saying your luck's pretty low?" "It isn't quite as you say," said Pilgrim. "Today my parents gave me a severe scolding over the partition wall, throwing bricks and tiles into this place." "What were they scolding you for?" asked the monster. Pilgrim said, "They said that since we have become husband and wife, you are in fact a son-in-law in their family, but one who is completely without manners. A person as ugly as you is unpresentable. You can't meet your brothers-in-law, nor can you greet the other relatives. Since you come with the clouds and leave with the fog, we really don't know what family you belong to and what your true name is. In fact, you have ruined our family's reputation and defiled our legacy. That was what they rebuked me for, and that's why I'm upset. Though I am somewhat homely," said the monster, "it's no great problem if they insist on my being more handsome. We discussed these matters before when I came here, and I entered your family fully with your father's consent. Why did they bring it up again today? My family is located in the cloudy paths cave of Fooling Mountain. My surname is based on my appearance. Hence, I am called Zhu, Hog. And my official name is Gangly, Stiff Bristles. If they ever ask you again, tell them what I have told you. This monster is quite honest, said Pilgrim to himself, secretly pleased. Without torture, he has already made a plain confession. With his name and location clearly known, he will certainly be caught, regardless of what may happen. Pilgrim then said to him, My parents are trying to get an exorcist here to arrest you. Go to sleep, said the monster, laughing. Don't mind them at all. I know as many transformations as the number of stars in the heavenly ladle, and I own a 9-pronged muckrake. Why should I fear any exorcist, monk, or Taoist priest? Even if your old man were pious enough to be able to make the monster-routing patriarch to come down from the ninefold heaven, I could still claim to have been an old acquaintance of his, and he wouldn't dare do anything to me. But they were saying that they hoped to invite someone by the name of Sun, said Pilgrim, the so-called great sage equal to heaven who caused havoc in the celestial palace 500 years ago. They were going to ask him to come catch you. When the monster heard this name, he became rather alarmed. If that's true, he said, I'm leaving. We can't live as a couple anymore. Why do you have to leave so suddenly? Asked Pilgrim. You may not know, said the monster, that ban-horse plague who caused such turmoil in heaven has some real abilities. I fear that I am no match for him, and losing my reputation is not my form. When he had finished speaking, he slipped on his clothes, opened the door, and walked right out. Pilgrim grabbed him, and with one wipe of his own face, he assumed his original form, shouting, Monster, where do you think you're going? Take a good look and see who I am. The monster turned around and saw the protruding teeth, the gaping mouth, the fiery eyes, the golden pupils, the pointed head, and the hairy face of Pilgrim, virtually a living thunder god. He was so horrified that his hands became numb and his feet grew weak. With a loud ripping sound, he tore open his shirt and broke free of Pilgrim's clutch by changing into a violent wind. Pilgrim rushed forward and struck mightily at the wind with his iron rod. The monster at once transformed himself into myriad shafts of flaming light and flew toward his own mountain. Mounting the clouds, Pilgrim pursued him, crying, Where are you running to? If you ascend to heaven, I'll chase you to the palace of the pole star, and if you go down into the earth, I'll follow you into the heart of hell. Good heavens! We do not know where the chase took them to, or what was the outcome of the fight. Let's listen to the explanation in the next chapter. It's interesting that chapter was so short. I wonder why they stopped it there. Because normally the chapters have more back and forth, I guess. Whatever. They have more in it. Like, it might have been a break where he goes back to Tripitaka for a second and then goes back type of thing. It's interesting. Oh, and Cliff, thank you for my snacks. I did not say that, and that is rather rude of me. I apologize. You even got Shock to send me snacks, too. Thanks, Shock. Thank you. For some reason, when you go to airports, I have trouble scanning your IDs. That would be annoying. Like your passport or your driver's license. Oh, you get it at the DMV? I'm assuming you're talking about the hazmat stuff, Kel. I read this as Wu-Tang Clan at first. Forgetting that I said Wu-Tong. What the... Yep, answered that. Yes, Cliff, I have a cat, as you very well know. Excuse me while I whip this out. Oh, God. Where he dropped his load, I presume, is what the clip is. Wouldn't be shocked if you already put it on Twitter. Yeah, jerk. Yes, it was a very short chapter. It's kind of weird. You know, this is what's interesting. Maybe Monkey's learning a little bit instead of just like jumping into the fray without thought. He wanted to get some information from the monster. And then now he knows where the family is. So he knows where the monster will likely run to. I was gonna cry foul at him ripping his shirt to get out of Monkey's grip. However, a few moments ago, I remembered he did put his shirt back on because I was like, wait, didn't he just like strip to go to bed? I figured it out in real time. You're correct, technically speaking. He is, but he's still semi-frustrating. But, you know, Goku is like that. Although Goku doesn't really get smarter. I dislike Goku a lot. Sometimes unfairly, but I just can't. Pain in the butt. All right. Okay, I was about to argue with you, and then you said this, so I do agree with that. I mean, technically, I wasn't really gonna argue. Like, when he's in battle, he is way smarter than when he's not in battle. So that was essentially what the comment was gonna be. But like in between battles, he just reverts back to Dragon Ball Goku. Shut up, Dom. Those were good times watching that as a kid. I didn't hate Goku as a kid as much. Not until I got older and just re-evaluated everything. I was just like, you're kind of a terrible character. As a kid, I was annoyed at how frequently it was always Goku that has to save the day, because even just when you get introduced, it's fine for Dragon Ball. Like, Dragon Ball is Goku's story. Like, he's a kid, you go through like his origin, right? But he doesn't really know much of his background because I just read what Shock said, so now I'm distracted. Once Dragon Ball Z starts, it kind of makes you think that, sure, this is Goku's journey as an adult, but also Gohan's journey, because it starts with Gohan being like a crybaby, sniffling little kid that can't do anything on his own. He's a daddy's boy, like whatever. But then you discover, oh, he has this great power when Raditz arrives and scans him, right? And then you go on this entire journey. And they, after the Cell Saga, like, even with the Cell Saga, with the freaking Cell Saga, Teen Gohan, that's my guy. I love Teen Gohan. Well, technically, Vegeta's my guy, but setting that aside, it's a different type of guy. Teen Gohan is fucking amazing. And I hate Goku for giving the Sensu Bean to Cell. Everybody hates that, right? Like, if you don't, you're ridiculous to me. But after Cell is defeated, Goku decides, oh, I'm just going to stay dead, guys. I want to train because all I care about is fighting. That's Goku, and it drives me batty because that leads to Chi-Chi being both parents for Gohan, which means Chi-Chi, who doesn't really like fighting, even though that's kind of how they got together, but whatever. She became a mom, things changed in her brain. She wants him to be a scholar. So it just ruins everything that is Gohan. And I hate it because they set him up to be such a badass. And like the combination of Saiyan blood and human blood is more powerful than the Saiyans ever would have known, right? And it takes away from prejudices of things. Like the Saiyans wanted to just, they think that they're better than everybody, right? Well, until, we got this little halfling here that is super duper powerful, even just as a kid. And then they just fucking, no, great Saiyaman, and he's a scholar, and he needs Videl. They just ruin everything with Gohan. It drives me crazy. And like people talk about in Super how, or like after Super, I don't know, the most recent thing. And sure, Super gets rid of GT, which kudos to them for that. But making him, Beast Gohan, and he's now powerful again. Like, no, I don't want to go through all of that and see all this bullshit. I want Teen Gohan to have his father in his life, or let Piccolo at least be his father and keep training him, not let Chi-Chi be his mom and just ruin his entire freaking story. Just whop. Goku has to save the day for everything because they refuse to make Gohan a badass because he was a badass and they just completely take it away from him. I hate that. I hate it. So that's why, to me, Dragon Ball Z ends with the defeat of Cell. I hate Boo, mainly because I hate everything pink mostly. But I also just hate Boo. He's really annoying. And it just leads to other stupid shit that I just don't care about. Mini rant over. And thinking about, listen, Shock, your little comment. Where was it? God damn it. Oh, yeah, this. I am not Bulma. I just love Vegeta. Piccolo is a better dad than Goku. To Gohan. Vegeta is a better dad, even though he has flaws, and he will always have flaws because it's a streak of pride with him. But he is still better than Goku. And he doesn't even get any freaking, credit for anything. It's just always Goku, 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 Goku. He's like their Superman. I get it. Like, in Japan. Like, he is Superman to them. I get it. But I like Batman better. Whatever. And that's Vegeta to me. So, You are such a troll. You're such a freaking troll, Cliff. Like, don't even. Oh, absolutely. And like future Trunks, I don't want to give things away. If Dom, are you ever going to watch Dragon Ball Z? I sort of already gave stuff away with the Bulma stuff, but whatever. Like I love future Trunks in general because he's such a badass. And Trunks of the now times, because that future doesn't happen, is a whiny little sniveling brat, just like Gohan and Goten. There it is. They get to live the Kush life because their world wasn't affected the way that future Trunks was. So I appreciate that future Trunks, but I also don't mind canon Trunks, whatever, regular Trunks. Hi, Alf. How's it going? Sorry, I went on a Dragon Ball Z rant, and here we are. I'm getting through chats again. How's it going? I'm glad I saw your video was doing well, and you got subs from it, so that's awesome. It's in my watch later. I have videos to catch up on from the day. See, and that's the thing. It's so frustrating to me because they should just like get rid of everything and start back with Teen Gohan. That would be my ideal world. But let a character, like I expected growth, but that's just who Goku is. He's pure innocence, which makes him immature. It's true. And it's frustrating to me. I don't like a character like that. Even like with Luffy in One Piece, he grows as a character. He's very similar to Goku with like his innocence and determination, love for fighting. But I don't know. I guess it is during battle with Luffy where like he shows that he knows what he's doing and he's smarter. And I haven't finished One Piece, so we'll see. I'm at a spot in One Piece that I'm really frustrated with, and when I get frustrated with something, I kind of avoid it. So I started Stargate SG-1 again. And my brother's like, "Why are you watching this again? Like, can you One Piece is about to get good again." And I was like, "I'm mad at One Piece right now, and I wanted to watch this arc. It's a retcon that I do not like, and Dermy and Adam and I are gonna have words because I'm pretty sure they like it, and I despise this character and what it does to his relationship with his brother. So yeah, that's gonna be fun once I finish it, because yeah, I really don't like that character, like, at all. Especially like where it's placed. If it were placed not immediately after a super impactful moment in the story, I would be less upset at it, but I'm upset at it because I haven't even had time to process what just took place that Luffy needs to process through. Like, as a viewer, I need time, and as a female viewer, because I run on emotions, I need time to be able to process what the fuck just happened, and you just kind of threw in a wrench of, oh, by the way, this stuff that you would have known because they would have been thinking about it, especially in the situation that just took place. Like, someone's trying to save someone. They would have thought of this other person if that person existed previously. So, whatever. Especially if I am predicting correctly what happens to the character that was introduced as a retcon, they definitely would have, both of them in their flashbacks would have been thinking about that person because it's kind of a similar situation. So the fact that they weren't thinking about it means that that person didn't exist, and it was brought in because Oda, God love Oda sensei, he doesn't like bad things, but it's the real world. So that's kind of a small little tiny thing issue that I have with One Piece, is you need to be able to grow as a person, and sometimes bad things happen that you have to use for your character growth. And it's okay to keep that situation and not later retcon it, which I fear might be a thing since One Piece isn't finished yet. So there's my, you know what? There's my Goku or my Dragon Ball Z rant, and now my One Piece rant. Ah. Boo is not awesome. Disagree. That's true. He would eventually go out for smokes and never come back. I'm sorry, was that racist? Even though I don't understand many things you're saying. Thanks, Dom. You probably didn't understand that one either, because I'm assuming you haven't watched One Piece, but shut up. Shut up, Shock. Batman is way better. Cliff, I'm pretty sure you yourself have seen Dragon Ball Z. Stop being a troll. If you haven't, you should. Just like Dom. I'm not going to acknowledge this, even though I brought it on screen. Hi, Andy. How's it going? I'm dyeing my hair with a Christmas theme eventually, but I decided that I was going to keep this because I like how it looks. And if you have Twitter, I have a poll on Twitter because I have a Christmas party coming up on Friday. Wearing a red dress. I'm debating on waiting to dye it, my hair, to dye it, not diet food-wise. To have the white hair at the party with my red dress. I am wearing white shoes, I think. Yeah. Or to dye it my Christmas themed hair tomorrow because the party's on Friday. I don't know. I need assistance. I did do a poll on YouTube, but I have closed that out. So white won so far. Twitter, it's a different story, which is funny. It's true. And like, that's my childhood. I watched it on friggin' Cartoon Network. So of course it's the dub. And I don't care. Just like with Sailor Moon, which, okay, gonna do a tiny little Sailor Moon rant here. It's really difficult to find the English dub that doesn't call her Usagi. So I'm kind of frustrated with that because I love that she's Serena and her daughter's name is Rini. And this is a very mini rant because y'all are dudes. I enjoyed that story and it's my childhood, so I'm all nostalgic for it. So I don't want to hear like her name being Usagi. She's Serena to me. And I have an emotional attachment to what I watched as a kid. And I freaking loved it. Darien is great. I don't even know what Darien's name is in the Japanese version. But my brother found it somewhere for like the first season. But that was it. He couldn't find anything beyond that, which makes me really sad because I want what I watched as a kid. So it made it hard for me to like try and rewatch it as an adult. And she's kind of more obnoxious in the Japanese version. Like watching it in Japanese with subs, holy crap. Very, very different vibe for that show. So I might just have to deal with the Usagi stuff and hopefully like the dub doesn't change the story too much from like what I remember. But it wasn't something that I rewatched. I did rewatch Dragon Ball Z and Cardcaptor Sakura. What's funny about Cardcaptor Sakura, I'm just going to go on an anime rant and y'all are here for it. With Cardcaptors, that's the English dub. They changed the title. So it's back in the 90s when localizers were right-wing. So essentially there's like some LGBTQ vibes in the Japanese version, Cardcaptor Sakura. And in Cardcaptors, they changed the story, which really wasn't necessary. Because in the Japanese version, Cardcaptor Sakura, it is very subtle. It is not focused upon, and it's just sweet. And it's just a thing that exists. There is some weirdness with her cousin. It's very weird. But it's tolerable. And it's not pushing an agenda. It is just there as a thing. They're great characters by themselves. And they're not sitting there making out and talking about how there needs to be a riot or protests over some LGBTQ rights that they don't have. Like, it's just legitimately, they exist. And it's not even something that they speak about. It's just something that is known by characters and they move on. It is done beautifully. But the Christian right localizers at the time in the 90s couldn't have any of that. We have come like full freaking circle to where now localizers are left-wing jackasses and making everything way freaking worse. Way worse. Irritating. I did see the One Piece announcement. Kel. Yamcha doesn't need a redemption, so I'm okay with that. And I'm glad. Are you finished with it, Shock? One Piece? Or like caught up, even with the new episodes? Because my brother hasn't watched the new episodes yet, but he's caught up to what was before the recent release. Because it did release recently, I think. Dude, get past the Usopp. It is so good, Kel. So freaking good. Usopp sucks. He gets better. He hasn't gotten better enough for me. But he does get better. God damn it, Shock. Why am I the queen of cats? What? Where's that coming coming from? Do you not speak anime? So you have to throw in something you do speak? Are you talking about my Sailor Moon rant? Did you watch Sailor Moon? I won't call you gay. Dom, never listen to Cliff when you want advice on something. He is our resident troll. And never watch this. Ever. Don't do it. It's awful. Terrible. Mm-mm. Dude, he sucks hard. I agree. I do enjoy his battle with Clohador, Luffy's battle, because it actually demonstrates the thought processes that Luffy goes through in the midst of battle and how he learns as he goes to adapt and overcome situations. It's not in the live action, and that's why I have a problem with the live action. There's also a battle with Sanji. It's a fucking great battle. I love it. Not with Sanji, like when you meet Sanji. God, please keep going. Please keep going. Kel, I beg of you. I love that freaking battle. And then the next after that, because please, Kel. Please. I beg you. Please continue One Piece. Because you then get the background for Nami after it. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. It's so much better than the live action. Did you watch the live action, Kel? Because the live action is good, especially for normies that didn't watch the show. And I only recently started watching One Piece because my brother insisted on it. Like when I was a kid and it came out, it looked a little bit too much like, this is going to be weird, but Ed, Edd and Eddy, where it treats children like idiots. That's why I never liked shows like Ed, Edd and Eddy. It was like stupid humor. I don't like that humor is when it's an adult movie. So like Will Ferrell type of humor. I don't like it. It's treating the audience like they're stupid, setting aside Will Ferrell, like the kids. Kids can have more deep storylines and be able to understand it, and it actually helps them grow. That's why I like anime so much, because it does not, for the most part, most of them do not treat people as idiots. Like you can have a more thoughtful storyline and understand it at a younger age, because I did. So I never really liked things like that. And One Piece, when it first came out, looked like another one of those shows. And I was just like, I'm good. I don't need that. I have other anime that I love. So that's why I never watched it. My brother randomly started watching it because he was very similar. It looked too stupid, like the Rubber Man thing, and just whatever. He freaking adored it, loved it, has watched it multiple times since. And he was like, no, you need to watch this. And as a good little sister do, I basically was molded in his image from childhood. And so I listened and I watched and I loved. And here we are. I'm over here ranting about anime. Okay. Thank you. It gets real good. Really good. And like, it gets even better as you continue on. I do use a filler guide. I hate filler, and there are really bad filler. So any Boss Luffy episodes, don't watch them. They're not canon. They have nothing to do with the story. Like, don't do it. Use a filler guide. Skip filler. I understand that. I do have Netflix because I'm recently, whatever, obsessed with K-dramas. And there's a lot on there. And I blame Az and Disparu for this. Same. All of this. Yeah, that does suck. And then is Netflix the one with Bridgerton? I really hate them for that, if it is them, but it could be Prime. Whichever. I hate it. I hate Bridgerton so much. It ruins the books. Really does. I can't answer that question. I haven't finished One Piece, and One Piece is still ongoing. Technically, Dragon Ball Z is done, but Super has continued. So, like, you could say that it's not done, but at the same time, technically, it is done. And with my reasoning, it is done. It ended with Cell dying. Yes, it definitely is. I went on a rant about anime, so it's certainly a very long stream. Props to you. It depends on the anime, because there are some anime where the filler isn't obnoxious. One Piece, kind of obnoxious. There are some side stories that are filler they're fine. But then there's Boss Luffy episodes that are not. If you like iRobot, I would recommend watching Better Than Us. It is a Russian show. I watch it with subtitles because I like watching things with the original language that it's meant to be in. Like with RRR, I watch that in Hindi with subtitles. I love it. Ed, Ed, and Eddie is not awesome, but you're allowed your wrong opinion. It's true. Like, One Piece is just a constant continuation of the story, which I understand. It has an end goal. And with Dragon Ball Z, it's always just like the next battle. They have peace every now and again, and then a big bad comes along to continue the story. But like with One Piece, you want to be the king of the pirates. You want to get the One Piece. And you're following this main group of people that are in search of that. And you're also seeing their story arcs, because they all have their goals. Of course, like the main one is Luffy's, but they all have their dreams that they want to get to. Even like the side characters, like Cody and the obnoxious dude from the beginning that is Cody's friend. I shouldn't talk about much more because Kel hasn't gone there. So Kel has promised to try for me. Please. I think it's so good. Life has many doors, Ed boys. Some reference I don't get from Ed, Ed, and Eddie, I take it. All right. Well, my friends. What were the Avatar army versus the... What was the other one? Is it the Alphabet Army? I didn't think it was army. It was like the Alphabet Coalition or something like that. Alphabet Mafia. I don't know. Mafia sounds cooler. Is that why Twitter AI thinks that I'm a villain? I just thought that the Mafia was cooler than the army. Kel and Hayden are the only ones you respect. Alphabet a-holes. Alphabet Armada. Wasn't it Armada? Like when it originally, like when the rant that Brian had originally came about, I swear it was like Avatar Army and Alphabet Armada or something. I swear it wasn't Army. Maybe it wasn't Avatar Army. Was it Avatar something else? I am just rambling. Sorry, guys. I don't know. This was fun to rant on random things. Are you sure it was Mafia? Because there was an alliteration, but maybe that was just the Avatar alliteration, and then it was Alphabet Alliance. That it could have been Alliance, the Alphabet Alliance. I swear they both had alliteration to it, but I could totally be wrong and misremembering. I don't remember when that shit first went down, so I can't go check. Autists of the internet, if you're out there and you watch this, I humbly request. Maybe Danky, like, made a clip about it. That's possible. But anyway, this was fun, guys. Have a little chit chat afterwards. Go vote in my poll on Twitter for my hair. But yeah, everybody do the thing. If you enjoyed this, like, share, subscribe. Go follow me on Twitter and Instagram. They're linked on my community or about page. Maybe I should link them in my description. Do I not? I don't think I linked them in my description. But either way, it was a good time, y'all. I appreciate you all very, very much. Thank you, Dom/Rob Manfred, for the $20. I appreciate you, as always. You're the best. Everybody have a good night.